I have been playing golf. I should maybe revise that a little bit. I haven't played golf in a good 5 or 6 years, but I started playing golf when I was probably 11 or 12 years old. My mom grew up in a farm outside of a small town of about 300 people, and that community had a little 9-hole golf course out in the country. We would go and visit my grandparents every summer, and we would go and play. Both my grandparents played, my aunts and uncles played, and my parents started to drag us along and teach us how to play as well. My first golf club was a wooden driver that actually fell out of a tree at the golf course at one point. Probably ended up in the tree after someone hit an errant shot and was so mad they let their club fly. My grandpa had in one of his barns a little station set up to fix golf clubs, and so he fixed it up, and that was part of the set they cobbled together for me as I got taller and was learning to play the game. When my wife first got to visit both sets of my grandparents, we played golf with the one set and then went to visit the other set, who were well into their 70s at that point and had picked up golf in their retirement. It was part of our growing up that we played golf with my grandparents when we went to visit. Now, golf is an interesting game. You start off in a tee box where you put your ball on a little tee, and then you hit it towards the flag that is on the green. And so as you begin each hole, there's this flag that's in a cup, and that is the destination that you are aiming for. You want to get the ball from that tee box into the cup that the flag is sitting in as few shots as possible. And as soon as you do that, you go to the next tee box and find the next flag. So that golf ends up being this game where you move from destination to destination to destination. You start at one, get to the flag, go to the next one, get to the flag. You are constantly moving to the next destination. This is actually a way very much that I have been taught to live, to move from destination to destination. When I was in high school, my football coach would talk about setting goals. And he would say, if you set your goal way up here and fall a little bit short, you've still accomplished a lot. But if you set your goal way down here and meet your goal, you still haven't gotten to the place you would have had you set it higher. That's a destination kind of thinking, looking ahead to something that we're aiming for. When I got into the business world, I think it was a 7 Habits of Highly Effective People workshop where we were told to begin with the end in mind. Destination, right? You got to know where you're going if you're going to get there. When I was an intern in seminary, I was taught to set just a few wildly important goals for the congregation. And Scripture even talks about having a vision that we put out in front of people. And we would say that without a vision, the people perish. All of these things are ways that we get into destination thinking, that we are headed towards something. And our culture is very much a destination kind of place. We sometimes plan from trip to trip or vacation to vacation or goal to goal. Our culture is very much focused on progress, and whether that progress is a promotion, whether that progress is profits, whether that progress is new technology, we're always on the move from thing to thing and trying to see what that next destination is. Even the theology of the church is very destination focused. It's not hard to get into a conversation about faith and think about, well, when is heaven? What does heaven look like? How do we get to heaven? And we even get to places, even if we talk about grace being a free gift, we talk about sort of who's in and who's out and how do we get to that destination. And all of that destination kind of thinking is wrapped up in today's gospel story as well. Jesus is talking to the disciples, and he says that the Father's house has many dwelling places, and he goes to prepare a place. That sounds like a destination. And he says, you know where I'm going? And the disciples are like, we don't know where you're going. He's like, sure you do, right? I am the way, the truth, and life. And he gets through all of this sort of talk of getting to the Father. And then they say, well, show us the Father. And Jesus said, I've already shown you. They say, show us, and then we'll be satisfied. Satisfied is part of that destination. And you can read this whole gospel text and listen to it and make it and hear it in a way where Jesus is going ahead to some place. He's going to come and get us and take us to that place. God is in that place. And somehow in that place we will begin to know God. And it's this destination that we head toward. And all of that destination kind of thinking with the disciples, the destination thinking that we live with, and whether it's on a golf course moving from flag to flag, or in life moving from goal to goal, the trick with it is it doesn't always work. There may be times and places where goals and visions and destinations are helpful, but there are also times where none of that is helpful. What is the destination if you are in a place where you have lost a spouse or a child? What destination are you supposed to be aiming for? What sort of goal are you going to get to? You may learn to live with a new place of normal, but that's not a destination. What is the destination in this time of pandemic that we're in? We might say, well, it's to get back to normal or to get back to being open or whatever it is, but none of us know exactly what that looks like or how it is we get to that. So instead, we're living in a gray space of questions and wondering. There are lots of places in life where we don't have a destination, we don't have a goal, we don't have an aim to progress toward. And destination thinking only gets us moving in directions. It doesn't necessarily get us anywhere productive. And especially in the sense of faith, if we get to a focus on destination thinking, only thinking about what it means to get to heaven, we very quickly can get into a place of what we might call escapism. We just have to survive this life to get to the next one. But I don't think Jesus is really doing any destination talking or thinking in this gospel passage. I think actually he's challenging destination thinking in the disciples and trying to get them into a space of relationship thinking, moving away from that flag to flag destination kind of space and into a place where they understand that relationships are the main thing. Because if you listen to the whole of the text, what Jesus is really saying, it's not about destination, it's about relationship. He does say, I am going to the Father, I'm going to make a place for you. But then he comes and says, I'm coming to get you. We can't work our way towards some destination. Jesus says, I'm coming to get you and bring you not to some place, but to me, he says, so that where I am, there you may be. That's a relationship. It's not a destination to head toward, it's a relationship to live in. And when the disciples say, well, show us the way, because they're still thinking in destination, Jesus says, no, I am the way, right? It's that relationship that is the gift that he brings. You can think about Jesus' own journey in that way, right? He's always moving, and it's always about those relationships with the people he connects with. And then he starts to talk about the Father, and they want it to be a destination. Show us so we can see. And Jesus says, the Father dwells in me. Jesus isn't taking them to some place where God is. He's trying to explain to them that the relationship, the being, the way of Jesus is right there in front of them. They don't have to go someplace else. They already have the relationship that they need. And then Jesus starts to talk about this believing. Believe that he is in the Father and the Father is him. Believe the relationship. But then in believing the relationship, he talks about, right, if you don't believe what I'm saying, then believe the works. Believe that what I am doing right here in front of you is the thing. It's not some other destination. It's right here, the works that I am doing. And if we remember the works that Jesus did, they rarely were about a destination. He's just on the way, and people ask for mercy. People encounter a relationship with him, and they are transformed by it. Even on the cross, it's not an end point. It's not a destination. It's a place where for a moment he is in a relationship with two criminals beside him who enter into that conversation with him. On the cross, he bids his mother and a beloved disciple to care for one another. He's still in that space of relationship. And then the resurrected Jesus comes back into relationship with the disciples, finds them where they are and meets them where they are along the way. This whole text is about moving away from destination thinking and living in a space of relationship thinking. And that's really important because of where it puts our focus. It puts it not on where we are headed, but on people and on how those people are living and thriving alongside us. A number of years ago, my best friend and I were off playing golf. And we were getting ready to begin the day of golf, and if you don't always have 4 people, they might send an extra person with you. And so the marshal at the course asked the 2 of us if a gentleman could play with us, and we said sure. And as we were playing, we were hacking the ball all over the place. He was hitting it right down the middle, and he finally asked us, "Where are you aiming?" And we both pointed at the flag and said, "At the flag." And then he just laughed and said, "No, you're not." And he asked us, he just gave us a little lesson right there. He said, "Line up." And he said, "Line up." So we lined up, and he said, "Now, do like you always do, aim at that flag." And so we did. And then he took his golf club and he laid it across our toes and said, "Where is that golf club pointing?" And it turned out it wasn't pointing at the flag. It was pointing off in the direction that our balls generally tended to go when we hit them. And he said, "You know, if you're off by a little bit back here, you're off by a lot up there. You're not really aiming where you think you are." And so then we said, "Well, how do you fix that?" And he said, "Well, what I like to do is pick right in front of me on the ground, right close by. Stand behind the ball and find something that's between the ball and the flag. It might be a leaf. It might be a brown patch of grass. It might be a shadow. Whatever it is, find that thing and line yourself up and aim at that. The destination's way out there, but you can't get there by just looking at it. You got to focus on what's right in front of you." And I think this is what Jesus is saying today. Focus on the people that are right in front of us. Don't worry about that destination. In the death and resurrection that Jesus gives us, he takes care of the destination. God's got us. We are good. The gift then we have is the life to live that is right in front of us right now. And that's where Jesus says, believe the works and do the works. Do the things that are right in front of you. That's how we aim. It's not that we have to get ourselves to heaven and earn some destination. It's that Jesus has already come to get us and invited us to live in this space. And the way we live in that space is to do the good works that he gifts us with, invites us with, and calls us into. And that means that every kind thing we do, every act of compassion, every act of mercy, anytime we fight for justice for those who are left out, all of the works that we do in this world, they're not part of getting to a destination. They are part of being on the way with Jesus right now. It is a gift that he gives us. And so as we head out into our day today, and whether that's still within staying at home or it is out serving in the world, there are all sorts of ways that we can bring love to people. And when we do that, we are on the way with Jesus because he has already come to get us and take us to him so that where he is, we may be also. Amen.